28 million views on IG, 22.7 million views on Facebook, 30 million views viral, 1 billion earned impressions, 17 article mentions in the news, thousands of LinkedIn think pieces viral.
That's my favorite part.
All right, Caity, we finally did it. Here we are.
Yay.
In New York. Thanks for joining me. I always start with an icebreaker, so I'll start with this. We always joke about our different musical tastes, but if you were a producer for the best concert in the world ever, like who's your 4 artists that are coming out for your perfect
For my
show?
perfect show ever, I'm like a hip hop baddie. So I'd start with like, as you know, I'd start with like Doechii right now. I think she's like hilarious. I just saw a video of her like coming down a slide in the middle of her performance. She's at MSG right now.
Love that.
I would do, probably like Kendrick because of our ongoing beef.
Yep.
How many do I have to do?
4.
Oh, okay.
The Caity Bransby festival, you know.
Yeah, Tyler the Creator,
okay.
per usual,
I like that.
Hype, and then maybe like Ken Carson because I love to mosh, so important.
I love to mosh.
Yeah.
I wanted to start because you have like such an interesting career, like Honda, Weed Maps, like NBC Olympics, and then now StubHub as the global head of social. So I just like would love to hear like how do you explain like the different stops that you've been in and like I guess what you learned along the way.
Yeah, explain yourself.
Yeah,
Understood.
please.
I actually got into social when I was in high school. So when I tell people that I've been working in social for 11 years and I'm like, they're like, how? You're so young. You look so beautiful. That's how.
Yep.
When I was in high school, I would run like the social pages for all of the volunteer groups we would do at school.
Yep.
And then when I got to college, when I was 19, I just walked straight into the admissions office and I was like, can I run the social for the school? Because there was
entrepreneur. I love it.
I needed a job. I needed to pay. I need to pay for school. So I ran social for the school. And then while I was in school, I went to a job fair and I met Honda there. And one of the guys behind the desk was talking about how they really wanted to start a social department. They needed to do more community engagement. And I was like, that's what I do here. You should hire me. And he hired me for a new team that he had there. And because I got hired so young, I decided to go to school at night, start working full time, and I graduated a year early because I was like, I just need to start working.
I love that. It's funny because I'm sure you get a lot of people asking you about advice, like young kids in college and things like that. And what I always say, and I'm sure you have the same like advice, just do it. Like at this point now, whether you're starting a podcast or you want to be a social media manager, like do you have an account that you're just like a fan blog, something where you're just posting?
Yeah, I see
like being a practitioner. And you and I know Lindsay Signor well over at NBC, like senior vice president of marketing. She's been there for what, like 15 years now. But she started like, can I run the Facebook, please? And I feel like there's so many CMOs now in the space that started. I know Katie Daly, SVP of social at ESPN, who's been on the program. But she started like writing blogs on ESPNU.com as her first. So I think what you did is exactly what so many successful people have done. Like, can I just do it? Like, can I get in there?
Yeah.
And then I'll get in where I fit in, right?
Yeah, that's my favorite part about social is it's so like democratizing. Like it really doesn't matter like where you went to school. It's like, do you have you run an account? Do you have an interesting perspective? Do you understand trends? And you can prove all of that just by like posting.
Yeah, right. Especially, and you're you hire people too. It's like if someone shows you like, yeah, this is like an Instagram I started 2 years ago and I just have fun talking about music, like that's gonna be so much more impressive than the person that has a master's in marketing from NYU or whatever, right?
Yeah. My best example of that was when I worked at DMM, the agency. Right. We had a girl on our team who she used to run like or she still does a super successful Gilmore Girls fan page, and that's how she got hired because we needed to do the same thing for Suits.
I don't understand how people like don't get that. It's like such an important part of it, but I digress. What's a constant theme that you've seen at every stop of your career that continues to remain true, or maybe something you learned that you've carried with you like at each stop when it comes to creating community, when it comes to just, doing well on social?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely speaking like a fan and showing up where the fans are. I feel like that everyone says that.
It's so simplistic, but yet
it's so simple, but it like shocks people every time I do it.
Yeah.
But that's like the most fun I ever have too. Like I started in community management and now I run a department and I still think that's the core of everything. Like being able to show up where fans are, talk with fans in the way that they're speaking, make memes with them. Like the best comment I can ever get is someone being like, who runs this account?
Yeah,
and like,
or give this social media manager a raise.
Yeah, or like, hey, like becoming besties with someone, going back and forth, and now they're following and they're invested. Like, that's building community to me.
We work together, and so I just put that out there, journalistic integrity, I guess. In terms of like, I'm a fanboy of you, fanboy of StubHub, of course, but I wanted to talk about your run at the NBC Olympics, because starting STN almost 13 years ago, one of our first clients was March Madness for NCAA and Turner, like 16 games in one day. And there's something about when you start like in that chaotic sports, you don't know what's going to happen. It like really builds that real-time social muscle, which I think so many brands don't even know how to move at the speed of culture.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the Olympics really showed you, or kind of gave you a different type of muscle where you're able to just move quick based on what's happening, because you can't predict the future, right?
Yeah, I like thrive in chaos, so I think that's like why I got assigned to that role. Yeah. I had done a lot of other live events before, like I ran social for the People's Choice Awards, for the Billboard Music Awards, so I kind of like already really like craved that energy. Like I'm a little bit of an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
So I was so excited to do it, and I have to give credit where credit's due, because I think Jenny Storms, the CMO at NBC, did a really good job. She came into the Olympics, the 2024 Olympics, and said, you know, there's no limit on social. We used to only be able to post a couple clips and then push to linear.
That's
and
right.
she was like, you could post whatever you want, whatever you think will work. Like, social is equal in terms of viewership. And I was like, great, no limits. Are you kidding me? And so I think like the foundation was set. And then we spoke about Justin Karp, the VP over there at NBC Sports.
Yeah, that's my guy.
And he's just like, let it rip, like do what you guys think is best. So having the ownership is what leads to that kind of like fast pace, being able to turn around anything, creative that makes sense in the moment, jumping onto trends quickly, reading fan comments, giving them the clips that they want to see. And so it starts from the top, and then we can go from there.
The numbers were 6.5 billion impressions, no big deal.
Yeah, insane.
And can you walk the listeners through what that war room looks like? I know it's just like, we were just talking about it before we started recording. It's like, I didn't sleep for 14 days and like just like live on Celsius type thing. But I think so many people that listen don't understand like just what goes into.
Yeah.
And NBC always like spikes up and hires so many seasonal employees and things like that. But can you give a little bit of a peek behind the curtain of what a production like that looks like from a social?
Yeah, without spilling too much of the secret sauce.
Yeah.
My role was really interesting. So I came in every like early morning. We were so lucky with Paris time zones, but I came in every early morning, and I would sit actually next to the two executive producers of the Olympics, and we'd run through everything that had happened the night before.
What a difference, by the way, from like just like 5 years ago.
I know.
I always joke like us social folks, like we're always in the broom closet, and now
I've seen a huge change.
Yeah, now we're like
years.
in the main conference room, like we're on the agenda, like anyways. But
well, that was a cool role. That was actually Lindsay Signor's idea. So I sat in the room with all the executive producers, and they would run through what they thought was going to work. And they had a whole research team that would say, you know, like, keep an eye out for Tara Davis Woodhull. We think she's going to do really well, and that's how we'd form the show. And so I would use that as an indication of what was going to be on, and also what was going to do well, maybe highlight some facts that I thought would be interesting. And then I would take that down to the team, and I would start to brief them for the day.
If she wins, this is going to be...
and then I would start to assign out, like, keep an eye on this one, keep an eye on this one. You should look at track today. Here's a meme idea that I came up with in the meeting, that sort of thing. And then we would just plan out all of our content. But we had shifts of people going, as you did at STN. So no, there was never a time when we weren't online.
Yeah, it's just back-to-back 12-hour shifts.
Yeah, and I was like not very nice about it. I'd be like, guys, we have a piece of content. I'm already working till 2 a.m. Like, can someone at 3 a.m. please post this? To go live?
Yeah, I need to sleep.
And people would talk about too, I think they talk about, what's the most optimal time to post? But with Olympics, there's no optimal time. No. Optimal time is now.
Yeah.
4 a.m, 5 p.m, it doesn't matter. It's going to do well.
Well, you talk about being simplistic and even going down, because I want to get into more like the actual nuts and bolts of social, because I think oftentimes people talk in broad terms. Move at the speed of culture, be authentic, create community. Like, what does that actually mean? I think even like in an Olympic scenario, you have to be ready for Simone Biles if she wins gold, silver, bronze, doesn't place. And all those things have to be ready to roll. So like when you see it, almost like in the television broadcast too, but being ready for every single scenario is such a big part of it, where I don't think people understand. Even at NBC, I think they do a great job. It's like, the graveyard of content that is paid for and worked on that never sees the light of day. And I think a lot of brands, like, they never want to make that investment because, like, well, what if it doesn't work? Like, yeah. What if SGA doesn't win the championship, Converse? Well, yeah, then your spot's going to go down the toilet and you dropped millions of dollars on a piece. So, I mean, I think that's such a big part of live coverage and real-time social is it may not make the feed.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing about social that's in real time or live, like what I do at StubHub, is like you really can only plan like a day before.
Yeah.
Because you also like, well, you may know like who the main artist may be or who the main talent athlete is or what might happen at the race. You have no idea like what the viral moment's going to be. And so even like coming into it, just researching trends that are happening like a couple hours before that you might be able to plug into.
Yeah.
But then when you're on the ground, it's just like film everything and then see what happens. There's
and I don't know about you, but I'm constantly amazed by every time I'm like, oh, this is going to hit. Like this is going to get super viral. More times than not, it doesn't. And it's always like it surprises you like, how did that? Like I had no idea that was going to take off like it did. And it ends up doing it. So it's even hard to predict with the algorithm and what fans actually
I have a really good stomach. Whenever I'm like watching.
Tell me your gut, how you figure it out.
So when I first started entertainment, I was watching TV shows and clipping them and creating content. Yeah. And you have to start to develop that feeling of like, oh, that's an interesting moment or that's funny.
By the way, can you watch a show without like, ooh, that's a memeable moment?
No.
Yeah, I can't. It's ruined everything. Sports, I'm like, oh, that's going to do well.
But I do genuinely get a feeling in my stomach. Like I get really excited. Like I get a pump of adrenaline that I'm like, oh, that's really funny. And that usually works. Like when I was watching the Olympics, my niche is I love surfing and I love skateboarding. So I was watching a lot of that stuff and I was watching the surfing competition, and surfing in the Olympics is really hard to explain to people. It's hard for me to even understand. Like the format's like kind of crazy. But as I was watching, like a giant whale like jumped in the background, and I was like, "That's a TikTok. I need that right now." And like, it did crazy numbers. It got like 10 million views.
Listened to an interesting podcast with Alex Ramosi, who's like a business influencer, and Logan Paul. And Logan Paul said the exact same thing. Like, I just know it in my gut. And he actually corrected me. It's like, no, you really understand patterns of behavior. And to give yourself credit too, like you've had such an incredible career and you've noticed like all these nuances of like patterns. That gut feeling isn't just like intuition random. Like it's like 10,000 different things that you've analyzed essentially without even knowing it, probably subconsciously. No, this is going to hit.
Yeah, that's nice of you to say. Yeah. And I try to like bake that into my team too. Like before they go into a live event, I just make them research a ton of TikToks that fans have been posting about that, so they can understand like how those fans talk in that space, what typically does well. For instance, like one of my team members is going to a Tate McRae show tonight. I'm not a huge Tate McRae fan. It's hard to know like what the niche is for all of these artists. Yeah. But she did a ton of research. What makes that audience
like tick, right?
Yeah, and then she's like, okay, here's all these TikToks that fans typically make. Here's what they usually film in the show that does well, and that's how we start to do the research to piece together
it's so
what
smart.
We might be able to do.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, that fan base is going to tell you what they like and dislike, and you can take those themes.
And when you speak directly to that fan base, that's when you start getting the comments of people being like,
"You get me? Yeah,
are you kidding me?
Yeah, exactly." I want to talk about, I kind of joked on LinkedIn because you celebrated your year anniversary at StubHub. I'm like, one of the most, the first generational runs, like of any rookie campaign ever.
You're my biggest fan.
Yeah, exactly. But I wanted to chat about when you came in, like maybe a goal you had initially, like I'm going to do X, or maybe they told you like, listen, we got to do Y. But I'm just curious, like day one or when you took the role, like what that initial goal was.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's a dream job. So after I came off of Olympics, I wasn't looking for a new job, but I was just riding the high of working on a live event. And I went back to my desk job of working on scripted television shows. And I was like, all right, the high is not here anymore. So without
That's interesting. So the Olympics experience, you're like, I want to be in this environment.
Yeah. And if Justin Karp had been like, do Olympics every day for the rest of your life, I honestly would probably try.
Wow, interesting.
Like, I really like that energy. It's obviously not for everyone, but I like to make content for something that everyone's excited about. It's just like it's a privilege. It's such a treat. So
it's a dopamine hit for sure.
Yeah, I was definitely looking for that. And I got hit up by a recruiter over there that I had known from Weed Maps actually. Okay. And he was like, no, Caity, like this is your dream job. Like you have to come. And the only expectation was just build the social content engine, like build a growth engine we want to grow. And they completely trust me as a subject matter expert. So I was like, we need to be at live events, we need to be unhinged, and we need to sound like a fan. And they were like, yeah, go for it. And
I love that.
I've only received support from then on.
I want to talk about like the fact that StubHub touches so many things, right? Like sports, live events, music, all those things. So
yep.
when you kind of first dove in, give me something that was kind of interesting about, I guess, like, because ultimately at social, you're trying to build trust, build community, build credibility, but ultimately you want that trust to convert to people choosing StubHub over maybe a Ticketmaster or what have you. So was anything interesting just about like the customer segmentation or like what people are drawn to when it comes to purchasing tickets?
The ticketing industry is like really wild, but it's not hard to beat Ticketmaster. Everybody hates them, and StubHub is a little bit more for the people. Yeah. So, you know, StubHub really believes in democratizing tickets. The fans should be able to do whatever they want with their ticket, whether that's like reselling it or buying it straight directly from us. Like we're the official partner with the MLB, stuff like that. So I had to learn all of the nuances of the ticketing industry, but something I'm really good at is like learning industries really quickly.
Yeah.
Like I've worked in cannabis, I've worked in auto, I've worked in entertainment. I could do the social part. It's just I love learning something new.
Yep.
But yeah, because like Ticketmaster, everyone hates them. Like, and like SeatGeek's not really active on social, and neither is Vivid Seats. I just saw a huge upset.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm gonna crush this.
I got an opportunity here.
I'm gonna kill these mother effers. I'm not competitive at all, but I learned a lot about ticketing. But in terms of just like covering live events, it's a mix. It's a mix of like, is this a high priority event in terms of like, does it sell a lot of tickets? Is there going to be a lot of people looking at StubHub during this time period? Right. Or is it just a trending event? Do people talk about it a lot on social? Yeah. And we should be there at the beginning of both of those things. So whether it's the beginning of a sports season so that we're top of mind, or the beginning of a tour so that when people are searching for that concert, they see us.
I always ask this question and I get different answers, but what are the one or two numbers that you're looking at daily, weekly, monthly to determine if you're on pace, off pace? Like
views. Like all I care about is views right now. I think like engagement rate is awesome. That tells a great story too, but primarily views.
Yep.
And also so wonderful that every platform's converting to views now. I don't have to say impressions very much.
I know, right? And well, talk me through this because you and I have chatted a lot, and I've tried to like really educate my audience, clients about just how the algorithm is working now with the For You page and Explore tab, and really how followers mean a lot less in terms of being able to get ultimately, if you're trying to get views, it doesn't really matter if it's from a follower or a non-follower. Yeah. And what we're finding is when things go quote unquote viral, 90+%, 95% are non-followers of the brand. So how have you seen, or how do you explain like what the algorithm is doing right now in terms of how to get that mass reach?
Yeah, I think it's different per platform, obviously, but for the most part, you should expect that your content's going to be viewed completely out of your profile. It's going to be viewed up against content that has nothing to do with your own content, previous content. So it shouldn't make reference typically to what you normally do. You have to be able to provide context. That's like, big. In the moment.
Yeah. Because people still think they're like, oh, they already understand. Like we're mid-funnel right now. Like no, they don't.
Do you remember when people used to do those huge Instagram grids where like every photo would like correspond with one another?
They still do, Caity.
Okay, no offense if you guys recently did that. Yeah. But
no, we didn't. You know I'm just saying I see brands. We would never.
How incredibly difficult it is to like get context for that? That's insane. Like because every single piece of content's just showing up in your feed and you don't know where it came from or like what the purpose of it is. So you have to be able to provide purpose and context for people right off the bat. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to over explain, but it either has to be a part of like a trend that's already happening.
Well, and I always say like when you have this much time, literally, it's just like back in the day when our parents would just like be flipping TV channels every second.
That's true.
And then like you almost have to like, what is going to be that one thing that hooks you to like, let me watch a little bit more of that. Never mind, whatever. It's just people are flipping. They're flipping channels now. They're not like, oh, I follow these 10 brands and my whole feed are the 10 brands that I love. Like, no, it's just like the For You page.
And the algorithm's so smart too, and like, or algorithms are really smart too, in that they're gonna give that person exactly like the fandom and the niche that they're in. And so providing, not doing content that's specific, I think is important too. Speaking to a specific fan, having a specific fan in mind.
And you made a great point. Like, I need to talk to the Tate McRae, you said, right?
Yeah.
Talk to their fan directly versus like, what does a StubHub fan think about Tate? It's like, no, I need to like dive deeper and figure out what makes them hit, right?
Yeah, so one of the biggest mistakes that StubHub was making before I came is that they were just doing extremely broad and generalized content. Just like broadly, like if you love live events or if you love concerts, but like that doesn't perform because it's just...
And nobody loves broad stuff.
Yeah, it needs to be, instead it needs to be like Tate McRae is literally eating tonight.
Well, this is why too in sports, like people, like the teams will have obviously more followers than like even the league, right? Because like there's usually more Laker fans, and they're all like just general NBA fans. I love the league in general. So the more niche you get in those audiences, the more engagement you typically get as you're going kind of deeper down that fandom.
That makes sense.
I was at Cannes, and you see this at a lot of conferences too. I kind of joked earlier about
that's
it's
such
funny.
a flex.
I know, just subtle flex. No, but a lot of things that I kind of were joking about at all the panels at Cannes were like, so what are your recommendations, Caity? Like all the marketers can take away, and so many people like in that seat would be, just move at the speed of culture, be authentic.
I have one.
Yeah. What's
use social media. I get so pissed off.
I
get so mad when someone's like, "Oh, I'm head of marketing" or "I'm head of content," but like I don't really use my personal socials.
Yeah, you got to be a practitioner.
That's so crazy. Like, are you not posting? Always be posting.
But here's what irritates me about panels: is like nobody talks about like tangible things that they did, right? Like that actually work. And I wanted to actually like talk about some of like in your first year, your most viral moments and like what actually went into them. And what you learned from it, et cetera. We'll start with our little beef, Kendrick versus Drake. I'm a Drake fan. You're a Kendrick fan. I still think Family Matters was the best.
I'm going to try to keep it polite.
Family Matters was the best, like, actual word for word, like, bars. But obviously, Not Like Us was the best, like, bop, I guess I'd say.
Yeah, it's absolutely
Can we agree to that?
Bop. Yeah, it's a hype.
But there was the Kendrick Lamar SZA tour. There was, like, a ticket record being broken. And you decide to put Kendrick on top of like, what is that? The Toronto Tower, like the famous Drake. 847,000 Twitter impressions, 363,000 IG views. That was like your first month, I think, at StubHub.
Yeah, I got picked up on the Breakfast Club too.
Yeah, exactly. So talk me through a moment like that. Like you're new at StubHub. They want to be unhinged. They trust you. You see this moment. But you're also being educational to an audience because you guys have data, which I think is really cool too.
It is cool.
But then you see that on Breakfast Club, like, oh, this is what social does when you do it right.
Yeah. So I've created a bit of a content engine to be able to source all of that data. So on a daily basis, I get a push that's like, here's all the shows happening right now, and here's how they're performing ticket-wise. And that way I can just start to think of content. So I was already like posting content about the Kendrick tour. It's a huge deal, obviously. But I'm already deep in the weeds of that fandom, as you probably are too. So I saw the beef of people being like, Toronto's not selling out, and like they're handing out tickets on the street. And I was like, we'll see about that. And so I
actually have the data, and this is not true.
So exactly. So I deep dove on it, and I made that piece of content that essentially said like, it's selling out. And then I just made it like a direct attack on Drake because I love to attack him on a daily basis. And I'm always looking for an angle. So that was really like a personal passion piece. But I think it's always like, it's a really cool angle that StubHub has, that we have that first party data, and it makes us like a real like primary source in the live event space, which is really cool. But just sharing data is like so boring. Even saying like, oh, data is interesting sounds terribly boring.
Yeah, how do you tie it to culture?
Exactly.
How do you tie it to like a fandom?
How do you dunk on David's favorite artist?
Yeah, exactly. But also, I think every brand out there that's listening, like you usually have some type of IP. You have some type of edge. Like I always just tell, like, working with Turner, I'm like, you guys have so much like behind the scenes of like Shaq and Chuck, and like there's so much on the cutting room floor that you could probably remix.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even nostalgia, like old games and old clips, like there's so much stuff there. And I think oftentimes people forget, like, okay, if you're all at a brand and you're listening right now, like what is the one like competitive advantage that we have? And the fact that you have access to that data, you're like, I can tie this into like a trend or pop culture.
Yeah,
like that's what a lot of brands that talk about music, even like a Complex, they don't have that. So you're able to be a differentiator.
I kind of noticed that trend when I was first doing research. When I first started this job, I noticed that like Spotify does that a lot. Like they're able to say like this artist is in the top 5, or this artist is having an anniversary. And that's all data that we have access to too, in terms of like, oh, this is a tour that's coming back. It's the 10-year anniversary of the 1989 tour, stuff like that. So it also creates fandom and community in a different way. But again, it has to be culturally relevant. Like it always comes back to that. Like, again, I have tried to do data when it isn't culturally relevant. Just like, it falls flat.
Nobody wants to hear this.
Yeah. There was even like a Dodgers game, and one of the members of BTS threw out the first pitch. And I saw all of those BTS fans posting. I think it was Taylor Banks on your team too. You saw that. And so we made a quick data post, did some research, and it was like the highest selling Dodgers game of the season because people just wanted to see him throw that first pitch. We posted a photo of him with that data, and it did like crazy numbers.
What we're seeing too, we've done so many like podcasts and breakdowns, especially in sports, that the content that's outperforming everything is mic'd up content. It's like guys like playing little games. Like, you've seen the reaction where like the things drop?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
But that has nothing to do with on the court. It's not a dunk. It's not a crossover. It's not a game-winning buzzer beater. But like, I think the way now with the algorithm, like you said earlier, to reach that casual fan that cares or thinks it's fun or cute or whatever, you have to like find a way, like, will this hit like that BTS audience, but also will other people appreciate it and engage with it because it makes sense to them too. So it's like that. It's fine balance.
Yeah, it's like a game format. We did that a lot on the entertainment side. Like I did that in scripted TV where you're behind the scenes with the actors and you're like, what can I do that will transcend the topic of the show? Because this is a brand new show. No one understands this character. No one even knows who this actor is. But is there something funny I can have them do or a game I can have them play that it'll do really well? And we would like constantly be looking for those opportunities.
It's the best part too when you can have like if you know inside the content. That's like, because people love that. They love to be like in on the joke.
Yeah.
And it's like, but if it still makes sense to a wider audience, but also if you know, there's like, I think even the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce podcast, there's so many like trinkets in the background and like, but if you're just like someone like me doesn't follow Taylor Swift as closely, I didn't notice some of those little trinkets or whatever.
Yeah, me
But
neither.
then you see the articles where it's like, oh, this and that, and it's like, so anyways, okay, let's go to, you were speaking of sports and Dodgers, let's go to the Jaylen Voodoo doll for the Knicks.
Oh, that was a while ago.
Yeah, so I'm taking you way back, but staying on the sports topic for a second, like, when I say Jaylen Voodoo doll, you say
Knicks? Yeah, what do you
No, I mean, like, I'm just going to throw it out there and then, like, walk me through that idea, what happened.
I was like, what are you setting me up for? So there was a woman who was posting on TikTok during the NBA Finals about how she had a tiny Jalen voodoo doll that she was, like, doing facials on and, like, putting cucumbers on his eyes and, like, rubbing his shoulders. And every time she did that, the Knicks would do amazing. Your team and I picked it up on that super fast, and we jumped into her comments and we were like, can we please send you to a Knicks game? Like, we need you to support this team.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, she had actually just left for her honeymoon, so she couldn't go. But she was kind enough to make a TikTok being like, StubHub offered me tickets to the next Knicks game. Like, they want the Knicks to win too. And that kind of earned engagement is incredible because it's also targeting like an audience that's already stoked for her.
Yep.
Sentiments like 100% positive. Every comment's like, that's so dope. We love StubHub. Amazing.
So great.
Give me tickets.
Yeah. Hey friends, quick favor. Can you please like this video and subscribe to this channel? If you get any value from this episode or the show in general, we'd really, really appreciate it. Back to the action. I think oftentimes, again, going to, even if you're not StubHub and access to tickets, every brand typically has product or they have access.
Yeah.
And it's like, can you create like either an ambassador program that's more consistent or things like that? It's like, again, what is something that StubHub has that other brands don't? Oh, we have access to tickets. We can use this as...
It's the best power.
And I'll take a little like turn here, but like, I love how you talk to executives. You're like, we spent $0 on this idea and got 1.4 million impressions. And there's a lot of PR agencies and PR departments that just like would love to get that type of free earned media.
Yeah, we got a bunch of press coverage too.
And I think that's what the power of social. But talk me through like how you, because that's like I think that's a skill that not a lot of people have. How you talk to executives and make it make sense, and like I guess managing up when it comes to all the success you're having on social and how you explain that. What's worked for you?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on where you work and like what the KPIs are, what they care about. But I'd say that that's like the majority of my job is explaining social, and it always has been since I first started, and I'm totally okay with that.
A translator.
Yeah. I mean, I started doing this when I was 19, and they were like, hello, fellow young person, please explain how Snapchat works. And I'd be like, okay, so. But I think like explaining social is a lot easier now because everyone uses it and it has such permanence in our society. I typically explain how influencers work. I have to explain how video content is really important. And I also have to use a lot of examples from other brands that are doing really well. I think like that's the beauty of where we are now is I can show a brand like Duolingo or Lyft, and I can show like the resonance that you can have when you're fast to trends, when you let your team do whatever they need to do. And then I just say like, that's what we're replicating.
I love that. Okay, let's continue on here. So let's go to Coldplay. in the HR moment. That's got to be the most viral, obviously. Here's some stats here. 28 million views on IG, 22.7 million views on Facebook. So essentially 30 million. This is your LinkedIn. 30 million views viral, 1 billion earned impressions, 17 article mentions in the news, thousands of LinkedIn think pieces viral. I like...
That's my favorite part.
Yeah. Tell me about the LinkedIn post, because so many people had like hot takes on this.
You know what's funny is like, so obviously there was the cheating scandal at a Coldplay concert.
Really?
I don't know if you ever heard of it.
By the way, sorry to pause, but like, I don't think I've seen a moment dominate everybody's algorithm.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, but like I think no matter what your algorithm was, I think that was something that broke through, because I think it was like music, it was cheating, drama, like
it was HR.
It's just like everything. Yeah, exactly. Like corporate stuff. Anyway, so I just think it was amazing how that cut through.
Yeah. Basically, within a couple hours of that going live, everyone was like, "Don't post about this. It's so insensitive." And I was just like, "I have to find an angle."
Unhinged. You told me Unhinged. Yeah.
And so I immediately started talking with your team, asking them to find a clip from that show so we could repurpose some UGC. And then I started workshopping. Like, we have tickets for your HR manager. We have tickets for you and your HR manager. And I was just going back and forth until we found like what clicked.
By the way, almost every one of these opportunities is almost like you're trying to create the just do it for Nike. Like, what is our tagline that's going to hit, you know?
Because I don't ever want to do something that feels like such a reach. Like, I hate when brands reach too far. It's always going to fall flat. But this made sense for us. Like, we already were tracking Coldplay. We already wanted to make content about Coldplay. It's a huge tour right now.
Yep.
But like regular Coldplay content wasn't doing super well because they always are on tour. So we were looking for the culturally relevant moment, right? So within a couple hours, we posted, and immediately amazing response from fans. All the comments were super positive. Everyone was like, "This is incredible. I'm going to go buy a ticket on StubHub." But then like a couple hours later, or maybe the next day, because I think I posted at 5 p.m. on a Thursday. On Friday is when people started posting LinkedIn think pieces. And they'd post, it's all of these marketers.
A LinkedIn think piece.
Yeah, it's all these there was also a Forbes article too. That was a bit of a think piece. But it's all these marketers being like, should we really be capitalizing on this moment? And I'm like, simply by you posting, you are also capitalizing on this moment.
I think Forbes even mentioned like, why are you creating content around this moment? Like, a Forbes article is also a piece of content around the moment. I think they even mentioned it like, well, technically I'm kind of being hypocritical.
Like, if you are a good person and you actually don't want to hurt this family in whatever ways you're saying that it's going to, just don't post.
Yeah.
But I thought we did it in a tasteful way. Like, we didn't mention them. We didn't show their faces or anything. There were a lot of brands who went in on it. But yeah, completely positive response. Tons of articles about like us jumping on social really quickly, us doing marketing well, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And then right after that, we saw a huge spike in ticket sales for Coldplay.
Well, I know your PR team's been happy, because it's cool, because I think the way that you and your team cook is incredible, that we can help you cook. But the earned media from these moments is super, super high. I don't know if in your career you've seen it at this rate, but like these different moments that make so much shit on social that's permeating and kind of going out to traditional media, it's pretty awesome to see that.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like this. Even not this past weekend, but the weekend before.
But you can attribute value to that. Like, that's actual, like, you and I've joked like, well, that's like $5 million we made in free earned media.
It's true. It's crazy earned media. But it's just because we're existing in a space that everyone wants to be a part of. Like, even when you look at brands like Delta, they're looking for angles to talk about live events. Like, they have a series with WNBA players. Like, everyone's always looking for a way to be part of culture. And culture is live events. Like, it's concerts, it's artists, it's celebrities.
And I wonder if after COVID, naturally, it's even more like, it's spiritual, honestly. Seriously, like, we all remember like being, at least for me, it's like I bought some Live Nation stock during COVID, because I'm like, everybody's gonna be going to concerts the second we get out of this thing. But I don't know. I think it means more now when I go to a live event, because I know what it was like to not even have access to that for 2-3 years, right?
Yeah, and the average person only goes to like 1 or 2 live events a year, actually.
Yeah.
And so I think for the most part, they're like looking for live events in like a voyeuristic way. Like, they want to watch them on TikTok. They want to like watch a football game on TV. Like, it's a big part of their lives is watching live events and interacting with content and culture around live events, because they're not at them. And so providing like access, like we did a post about Chapel Rowan and her
I was going to bring that one.
Yeah, her first
10 million views on TikTok, no big deal.
Yeah, her first show, she like had a hilarious moment, and like the majority of people who are excited about Chapel Rowan aren't in the room. And so providing them with video and access to what's happening, like that's what they're searching for actively.
We were at lunch recently, and the way, maybe you can help me articulate it better than I am, but you talked about like just it being so cool, because like experiences like that are like what people they save all their money for to go to these experiences. And like,
it's super emotional.
It's emotional. And also it's something that when you and I look back 7 years from now and look back at the year 2025, you're probably going to remember that concert, that game you went to. So talk me through, like, because I know that really geeks you out and like gets you up in the morning. Is that?
Yeah, it's definitely entirely emotional based industry. People are going because they love these things and they're passionate about it and they're excited.
It's like inner child healing.
Absolutely. I mean, I just went to F1 this week and that's fucking insane. And I was riding a high the whole weekend, even though I was there for work. And I completely understand, like, from the perspective of a fan, it's entirely emotional. It's your passion. It's what you feel connected to from, like, whether it's sports or it's music. And like the content needs to feel that way too. It needs to feel emotional. It can't feel dry. It can't feel corporate, because we're talking about things that people are super passionate about. And that's why it's so fun to give away tickets too, because it means a lot to people. Like, it means so much. Like, we had such a cool case study a week ago where there was that Billie Eilish fan who tried to pull Billie.
Yeah, the red bandana.
Someone tried to pull Billie over the barricade, and another fan came in and kind of yelled at him. And so we responded to her within like 2 hours, and we're like, "Can we please get you to Billie's show tomorrow?" And that did crazy numbers.
So crazy.
There was our comment saying, "Hey, can we get you to Billie's show tomorrow?" on TikTok has 800,000 likes.
Wow. And that's the thing.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
And that's the thing too. Like, we've worked with other clients too, where our most engaged piece of content all year is that actual responding to another person's post.
Yeah.
So I don't think people understand to your earlier point about community management, the reach and engagement you can get by just being in other. True. We've worked with sports clients where just like replying to Adam Schefter is our most engaged tweet of like all time. So being in those communities and showing up, like, I know it's such a huge part of your strategy, but that just gets you like 800,000 likes.
I've never seen, I think we're in like the Hall of Fame for most liked comment on TikTok right now. I'm not joking. I think we are.
And then another thing, you know, there was obviously a lot of talk about, is it going to be Adele or Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
And people were guessing, and there was like Poly Market, like, you know, different things. And then Bad Bunny gets announced.
Yeah.
And I died, like the post, like, y'all got 4 months to learn Spanish. That got 8.8 million views on Instagram. So like, if you all are listening out there, you're noticing a trend that, like, practitioner, like, in the culture, understanding what people are talking about, understanding what these individual fan bases and themes, and then like, I think just like, it's a shareability, because I think everybody can look at that and be like, that's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, I just hired a new social media manager. She's super cool. She just was a senior manager at Betches, and her whole philosophy is what I posted to my Instagram story. And she's like, if this is lame, I would post it to my Instagram story. And I always say too,
would you DM it to someone you love or a friend of yours? Yeah. Like, that's a big thing too for shareability. And these algorithms too, I've said it a lot, is like they're heavily weighing shares and saves much more than comments and likes. And likes at this point can be somewhat of a passive engagement. But if I take a time to go to the bottom right and share it with you and be like, Caity, oh my God, this reminds me of you. In my opinion, that engagement is almost 10 times more than a like in terms of like weight. Yeah. But sometimes we count engagements all equal, and not all engagements are created equal.
It's true. I will say I do love when people start beefing in the comments. I love a good rage bait, and that's what Bad Bunny did. Because I think the funny thing about that Bad Bunny example is like every brand is looking for an angle into Super Bowl without saying the word Super Bowl.
That's true too.
And that was our way of being like, we're part of the Super Bowl, but we're not saying Super Bowl.
Yep.
And now everyone can fight in the comments about whether or not they think Bad Bunny should be the headliner.
Yeah, it's so smart. And I wanted to like get your actual like tangible, like, how did you think of these moments, how these moments find it, like, because I think oftentimes we don't talk about the ins and outs of that, which it really gets down to like, we get simplicity, but it's like the logistics of how you can show up for those moments.
This is going to be so embarrassing. So basically there's a placeholder, because I use Airtable to manage my entire team. So there's a placeholder in Airtable that says like Super Bowl potential announcement. And I didn't know what the piece of content was going to be because I don't know who that headliner is going to be. And then I think I had just gotten back from a work trip. I was like sitting on my couch, and my friend texted me and was like, oh my God, Bad Bunny. And I was like, oh shit. And so I started searching. And then I was like just about to get into the shower. So I think I was like standing in the bathroom, and I saw that like screenshot someone had did of like singing in non-English, talking in non-English on Twitter.
Yeah.
And then I was scrolling on TikTok, and I saw a comment on TikTok that said, y'all have 4 months to learn Spanish. And I was like, that's really funny. It was just like a fan who had commented that.
Yep.
So I just took the screenshot from Twitter, and then I took the comment from
so good.
TikTok and made that post while I was in the bathroom. The Coldplay post was posted from my car.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, well, it sounds like you're always on and like you're always scrolling and you're just like a practitioner at your craft. Is there balance, or do you just like love it so much that it's just like a part of your life?
No, it's just a part of my life. Like,
do you think that's
I'm super passionate about it?
Do you think that's just like what you have to do to be good at what you do in this industry?
I don't know. The people that I respect in this industry are like geeks about it too, and so I'd say that typically leads to success.
It's almost like a cinematographer or like a director that just watches every movie that comes out and just like learns and geeks out over it.
We're social producers. That's what we do.
And I agree. I think doing podcasts like that, I have so much fun. Like I geek out over this stuff. And I think in our industry, there's a lot of like balance and screen time, and I get it. But like there also is, well, I really enjoy this. Like I love laughing and finding the moments, and I want to be a practitioner at what I do. So.
Yeah, I mean, Soldier Boy followed StubHub on Instagram 2 weeks ago.
That's huge.
And I was in my living room screaming. Like, I was losing my mind.
Yeah, because you were at that concert, right?
Yeah.
Was it the Drewski?
It was the Drewski Fest, which had done so bad in Toronto that my whole feed was like,
because nobody came out, right?
Of all time.
Yeah, he just walked out.
As soon as I saw it was a scam, I was like, I gotta go. And then it was like the best concert I've ever been to.
I love that. Peak nostalgia vibes.
Yeah.
So talk me through, so you talked about Airtable, but any other tools that you're using other than just like scrolling and following different things and searching, like how do you do it?
Yeah, this is going to sound like a paid ad, but I just onboarded onto a new tool called plot.so.
Okay.
I think it's .so.
Because the crowd tangles and the tweet decks that we grew up on are just not hitting.
No,
like
this shit's crazy. I don't know if your team has showed it to you yet. I just onboarded them last week, but it uses AI to read every video across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts. And that way it can generate like any theme you want, but basically it can bring in every video that mentions StubHub, and it doesn't have to mention it in the caption. It just has to be in the video.
Yeah, it's like the closed captions or the CRT.
And so I can go in there and I can see like everything going on for our brands.
And it hyperlinks you directly to the original
post. Yeah, exactly. Wow. And I can it also pulls in all of our comments like that we do. So now I can finally start to measure community management, which is incredible.
Yep.
It also has a ton of other features. I'm totally like selling it short, but it can essentially like generate reports of sentiment across every platform for you using AI. And it's
well, because even going back like as early as a year ago, you would literally have to like search StubHub on TikTok and scroll and see if anybody said like it was
as early as a month ago.
Yeah.
Until I found flaws.
It was so manual. That's incredible. That's what's cool about AI. And I'll ask you, like me and Justin Karp actually at lunch had a really great conversation about AI. And I would love to get your take on just like, from a content generation standpoint, I've been saying that it is an issue from a copyright standpoint, IP theft, like all these engines are still using like copyrighted material to generate content. And I'm wondering what your take is from someone that leads social at a global level. From a content generation standpoint, where do you think we are now? Where is it going?
Yeah, I can't share too much of the sauce, but I have worked with our engineering team to build a pretty cool AI system that helps us source like what's happening on a daily basis across trending events, some of our ticketing data. That way, like we are able to keep up with just like the sheer volume of live events happening. A nicer
dashboard.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. And I also do all of my reporting now through AI. So like part of my job has always been to be a data analyst, and I've like done that across most of my jobs. Yeah. But now I have all of that automated, which is really nice. But I'd say that AI gets me like halfway there, and then all of the content creation has to be human.
Yeah.
And that's because like people are so adverse to AI content, unless it's like genuinely such a joke or you're my mom on Facebook, which is not my target audience.
Well, and here's what I said. So you remember the bunnies jumping on the trampoline.
Yeah.
Here's what I think about humans.
And the Frenchies jumping off of a diving board.
Yeah, but here's what I think about humans in general. Humans do not like to be misinformed or duped. And I think what happens like with the bunny thing, I think a lot of people were out to dinner with their friends like, oh my God, did you see how cute the bunny like trampoline thing? Like that was fake. That was AI. And that moment of like, that was AI kind of makes you feel dumb. Like you got duped. And I think that's the issue with AI right now, that people don't like that feeling. They don't like scrolling and being like, is this real? And can I send this to my friend because, oh my God, it's cute or funny or crazy? Or is this fake? And I think we're in this weird phase right now where sometimes you don't know. And then there's oftentimes you'll be like in a social situation and someone will call you out, not trying to be mean, but like, oh, that wasn't real. And you kind of feel right. Like, I think that's important.
I think it depends, because I was just hanging out with my 23-year-old brother, and like he's only on YouTube Shorts, and he's like, Caity, look at this hilarious video, and it's literally fully AI, and he's just like, isn't this funny? And I was like, that's not funny to me. You're gonna take my job.
Yeah.
It's AI. And I think he likes it because it, like, that particular piece of content, because it's just like extreme and like so weird and hilarious. So there is some place for that. But as a brand, like, I would never.
Well, and then like, maybe I'm getting too far down the road, but there's two things with AI that's coming to mind. Is one, I don't want to be the old head, like maybe some of our old bosses were, that, oh yeah, social, like that doesn't really matter. That's not, didn't pay attention to it. Almost like they had to like retire out because they never were a practitioner and they never figured it out. I don't want to be that dude when it comes to AI. However, when it comes to like, I kind of liken it to news. Like, I think our generation, like millennials, Gen Z, like, we stopped trusting news because it went from maybe the Walter Cronkite and like the journalistic integrity to like left versus right and propaganda and like really like overly edited. So I think a whole generation tuned out like broadcast news and stopped listening. What I fear about AI, unless the platforms get a hold of this thing, is if you're scrolling and you don't know what's fake or what's real, like, people may start to tune out a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know like what the reaction's gonna be. I just think like you're on a much more formal part of the internet than I am, and my entire feed is just like brain rot and weirdness. And like sometimes there's space for AI in that. As much as it pains me to say that, like, it can be hilarious and weird, and that's okay. But
the Sora 2 was like the big change where you start seeing like, and you probably saw like Martin Luther King Estate have to come at Sora 2 and say stop. That stuff is like crazy. Weird.
That stuff is crazy.
And but
I'm talking about like a crocodile dancing around in a diaper on top of a toilet. Like,
no, for sure. And I think anyway, I'll digress my little rant, but I think that platforms will have to, if AI is smart enough to create these incredible AI pieces, they're going to have to say this is AI
generated.
Kind of like TikTok says this is a TikTok shop ad, because you see like the thing. Just because if people feel, if they're constantly feeling they're getting duped or wrong, then they may sort of tune out, which the platforms don't.
I honestly do think that we're kind of at the end of like the AI revolution, at least on the tech side of like the industry. Like, we've taken it pretty far, and I'm not sure like how much further we could really take it.
Interesting.
So I don't foresee it like completely taking over, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
The cool thing about where I work is that like we're about live events and being in person with humans, and so like that can't be replicated.
100%. That's not AI. That is AI proof.
People are still gonna want to see
but
Beyonce
also too,
in person.
like our whole career there's been Facebook Live, and is TikTok going to be banned, and what about the metaverse and NFTs, and like I just feel like there's always something, and you choose to like learn it, dive into it, and does it matter to like go all in right now, or should I wait back? And I'm sure you've seen that. I'd love to get your thoughts in your career where like how you approach new technology, new platforms, and just like, because I think a lot of times it's the FOMO, and also people are so scared they're going to be left behind that they maybe move too quickly on it.
Yeah, when I first started in this industry, my dad was like, oh, I have a friend you should talk to who works in marketing. Like, she could be a mentor to you. And I like got on a call with her, and I was like, yeah, I want to do social marketing. And she was like, you really shouldn't do that. Like, that's super risky. Like, social's not going to be around for a long time. Like, you should do like out of home. And I was just like,
billboard buying, huh?
I was like, okay, I think I'm going to do it. I don't know. It sounds like fun.
Yeah.
So even from the beginning, like it's been a risk. But I would say like when new platforms pop up, like when everyone's like threads are happening, like we should start on threads. Like for me, it's always just been about like quality over quantity.
Yeah.
And so like if we're already doing a great job at Instagram, like what is that going to take away for us to start doing threads, and is it worth it? And I would rather like track that and see if someone's doing really well. When I worked at Honda, we had a lot of resources, and we always wanted to be first to market. So like when we had like Snapchat was just starting to do AR filters, we were like, let's do an AR filter on Snapchat, and that stuff was cool because we had the bandwidth to do it. But where I'm at right now is like I'm completely laser focused on views. I'm completely focused on reach, and that's happening on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Instagram Reels. And so like I don't really care about anywhere else. But I am interested in being on Roblox someday. And maybe Discord. But that's when I have.
I think it seems like, which is the right way to go about it. You're focused more on depth versus width. And if you can really, if you're really juicing a certain platform and it makes sense to put more resources on the higher ROI, like you're going to go there.
Yeah, I can't sit there with leadership and be like, all 5 of us are focusing on Discord right now. We get 5 views a week and it's going great.
But it's funny. I think it's like the shiny object syndrome. Like, oh, look, a squirrel, like that thing. When people are like doing so well on one platform, then they move like, we got to be first to market on Discord or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you lose like 95% of where your engagement actually is coming from.
I personally love when like typically a man tells me about like a social platform I've never heard of before. And they're like, you should really get on that. And I'm always like, what's your target demographic and who's on that platform?
Well, even Threads, I've asked them directly. I'm like, how many people actually signed up for Threads organically that weren't forced via your Instagram?
Yeah.
And if you guys didn't push to Instagram users to check out the new thread, like what is your actual daily active users?
Yeah, monthly active user versus like just forced sign up account is probably a crazy
That's a big
ratio.
deal. Yeah. So I have some like rapid fire questions. Oh, here we go. Any campaign or brand outside your industry, outside StubHub that you're admiring right now or like the way they're doing their content?
There's a small cookie brand called Sweet Lawrence.
I think you've basically listened
that has like a really hilarious TikTok account where like their intern, like genuinely an intern, accidentally changed their TikTok name to her name. And then like the account gets locked because you changed a TikTok name for like 9 days.
Sierra Mista situation.
And instead of like just ignoring it, the intern made like 10 pieces of content every single day. It started performing really well, and it did so well that the owner of the company, like Lauren herself, renamed one of their cookies to that girl's name. Smart. And they started selling it in Target. And I was like walking in Target one day and I was like, oh my God, there it is. And I had to buy it. And they saw like one of the biggest increases in sales they've ever seen.
So smart.
And so I just love that as an example of like, let your team cook. Like, let them do whatever.
And
like,
what can live on social can just directly affect the bottom line.
Yeah.
What do you think brands do wrong? Most like what you see doing wrong on social?
I think like overthinking content. Like if it took you like a month to make a piece of content, then like it's probably dead now. You shouldn't have to think about it. I also think like a lot of people, even influencers, do this. Like when they're working with a brand, they think a piece of content needs to look a certain way because it needs to be polished because they're working for a brand.
Yeah.
But like it's all about audience. It's all about fitting into a feed that like you're already looking at every day. Like what are your friends posting? It should look like what your friends are posting. And I think that's what we get caught up in, is this like it needs to look a certain way because it's a brand. Like no, it doesn't. It should look like how social media looks like right now.
Yeah, so give me a little bit more on that. So like lo-fi versus hi-fi, like more of the memes, like what do you, if you could just like explain to the listeners what you see working really well from a content standpoint.
Yeah, I tell my team that they shouldn't make anything that they couldn't make like without any of the tools we have available. So like
editing with your thumbs.
Yeah, exactly. Like you should be able to create it in Instagram stories, and it should be the same font that they already use in app. It shouldn't be a new font from outside of the app. You should be edited in CapCut or in. Do you
say TikTok that because you think that they are boosting the algorithm when you use their native tools?
I don't necessarily know if it's an algorithm boost. I just know that over the time period I've been working, that when content looks like it came from a fan or looks like it came from a regular person, that it performs better because it makes sense in feed. I think there's like almost the same reaction that people have to AI content, people have to like something that's overproduced.
It's true.
They scroll past it really quickly because they don't want to
looks like an ad.
Look at an ad. I saw like a stat the other day that I'm gonna absolutely butcher, but there's something like someone in Gen Z is exposed to like 90 ads a day or something like that. And so to not look like an ad is so important. And I don't think it matters because like if it doesn't look like an ad, because it is an ad. Like if I'm posting from the StubHub account, even if it's a Bad Bunny meme, that's an ad. And they know that too. So they're looking for relatability. They're looking for
what's funny
culture.
Is for so long, lo-fi content like selfie style was so genuine and you can trust it. But I feel like in my algorithm anyway, the TikTok shop is all lo-fi.
Oh yeah.
And now when I see somebody like put their phone up like, hey guys, or whatever, like I'm like, oh God, I'm being sold to.
I just look for that little like orange link, swipe.
Yeah. So the orange link kind of just makes you swipe, but it's kind of interesting how you used to 100% trust lo-fi as legitimate, more fan-based content and how that shifts over time.
I do like some hi-fi content. I think that it still has to be thoughtful, though. You have to be providing a service to a fan.
Yes.
I think there's like some brands that do hi-fi content really well, specifically in like the fashion space. Like I think like Shakesmas does cool stuff. I think that like like Nike, like and On Cloud do really cool stuff, but they're still like, you know, filming like a super edgy video with Doechii for like Run Club or something, and like they probably hired like a videographer who like has been making fire edits on their own page. Like it's still a unique perspective.
Yeah, I think anytime you can like elicit an emotion, and sometimes like those cinematic dope music, the edit, the cut, the drone shot, it's just like it almost makes you like either A, pumped up, or B, just like, I gotta share this with a friend, this is sick. And I think there's like a time and a place for that stuff for sure.
Have you heard of the brand Topicals?
No, I don't.
Oh my God, I'm about to put you on. They're so good at social ads. Have you heard of Telfar? Telfar is the same way. They're so good at social ads. They both use influencers in their ads, and the influencers are always doing like something hilarious. Like Topicals did one where they were going to release a new product because their last product had like a strange smell to it. And so they had all these influencers like sitting at different office desks in a like old school office setting. They're all wearing ties, and they're pretending to answer phone calls from like the customer to be like, no, we fixed it, it's better now. And they're all like, they have their own accents, they're wearing cool outfits, like they're so edgy, and like that's so smart to me.
And I think when you're scrolling, you're like, wait, what is this? I gotta check this out.
Yeah, and I love this influencer.
Yeah, and that's all it takes, just like the beat of like, wait, okay, now I'm in, you got me.
Yeah.
It's like why are people like wearing ties at a bunch of different desks?
Yeah.
So yeah, question from a live viewer. What do we got?
All right, Caity, this one is directly to you.
Oh.
How do you sell a risky post to leadership if there's initially a pause or pushback from the strategy?
How do you sell a risky post to leadership when there's initial pause or pushback? That's a good one.
I've been really lucky to never have to do that because I think it's about establishing trust from early on. Like social is all about trust. Building that with your boss or whoever is the approver to be like, I understand culture. I know like what's happening here. Here's this like history of all this work that I've done, so that when you're ready to push something through that may be on the riskier side, they trust you inherently, that you understand the audience. I've had things killed probably more when I worked at NBC than I do now.
Yeah.
And my boss, Kevin Palazzotto, would just be like, it's not time. I'd be like, okay. But yeah, I think it's just about building trust, that you understand your audience. But providing examples is very helpful. Like if there's examples of other brands who've done it, if there's examples from fans who have done it, that's always really helpful to show that if that person's maybe not as online as you, like the person who's
that's why I always say like it's our job as social media marketers to educate the people that aren't on the platforms like we are, and why it makes sense, and even these trends like
I've been in an office with an SVP and singing the girl dinner song to her to be like, this is the trend that's happening and this is what it sounds like.
But there's so many random trends that without any context, you're like, what in the F is this?
Yeah.
And being able to like, let me explain to you what this trend is. Here's why it's going viral. Here's why people like 6'7". People don't understand why StubHub would say 6'7". Like, I'm sure you have to explain like what the...
I don't have to explain at StubHub, but yeah, definitely I would have to explain at NBC. But I think like explaining earned reach is really helpful. So like coming in and saying, actually, this has already had like 6 million views and over 50 million people are doing it right now on TikTok, and the Steelers actually already did it from their official account.
It's good.
Because that provides the context to be like,
and once you get a couple of home runs too, then like I do think we've seen like a lot of the executives like start to pull back, like, well, clearly it worked.
But that's what worked for Olympics, right? Like Jenny Storms was just like, pop off, do what you need to do.
I love that.
And Justin was like, all right guys, like fire away.
What's one? We talked about a couple of them. Any one social marketing buzzword or marketing buzzword that you would delete from the industry?
A buzzword I would delete? I don't know. What are some buzzwords? I don't use
Make
a lot
it
of
pop. There's what else? Well, there's be authentic.
Marketing buzzwords.
Move at the speed of culture. There's.
I'm so casual. Like I don't use buzzwords.
No. Of
like,
course, yeah.
I feel like when I worked at NBC, people would say like a lot of like corporate terms that were so funny to me, like I'll ladder back, I'll circle up, let's find like a synergistic moment.
Let's take that offline, Caity.
And that always makes me giggle.
You mentioned a couple of them, but any guilty social follow for that you follow?
Like guilty, like I don't want to be caught.
Guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure.
Maybe it's a little brain rot content, you know?
Brain rot. I mean, my feed's such a mess. I love following I love following like older people who are like posting on TikTok.
Yeah.
Like there's this beautiful couple. They only probably have like 5,000 followers right now, but I know they're gonna pop up. They just left for their trip to Barcelona, and they like I was like. They just like set up their camera really like officially, and they're like, me and Henry are about to try this wonderful wine, and I just like love that they're online. They make me so happy.
I actually follow, there's an amazing account, and I'm so bad at like the names, but you know when you see it, but it's his son. He's probably 60, and his father's like 81, and he has Alzheimer's. But he talks about like he's so fun and cute with it, and how he helps his dad. But I'm just invested. Like every day, every post, I want to see an update. And the dad's like so cute and fun, but he like it just like walking through that as a son and a father. It's just like so cool. But it's funny like the corners of the internet that you get sucked into.
Yeah,
you know?
I think people don't realize that they're making like serialized TV content.
Right.
Like it's a TV show for me, and I love watching reality TV because I love like social.
That's it.
And like there's another account similar to the one I just mentioned. It's a mother and son, and they just moved from Los Angeles to the South, and they drive to all of the 1-star rated like weird restaurants in their new southern town.
I'm sold.
And they're always pulling up to some sketchy ass like gas station and trying the food, and they rate and review it. And I love that because I love watching like food shows, and I'm like, this is basic, and they're getting millions of views per video. Like they're getting more than linear TV does. I love stuff like that.
I had a podcast with Karin Kidlow, who works with a bunch of athletes, and the way she said of what they do with brand deals is one of her like lineman athletes, Chipotle, approached them. And she's like, we should do a series that says, what a 350-pound lineman eats at Chipotle. Like, I'm sold.
Yeah.
Just the fact, that little line right there, like, I'm
Smart.
watching that. And I think that's when it comes to branded content, too, with different creators, like you said earlier. How do you, like, hook somebody like, well, now I got it. I got to see this. Even though I don't know who this person is.
Serialized content.
Exactly. Yeah. And the reality show part is so smart. You're part of the American Marketing Association, and I know, like, you get a lot of impact on helping the next generation. And so many people would love to be in your seat to run such a cool brand and be unhinged, like you said. So what is the main advice that you give to up-and-comers coming up? Maybe they're 22, they're out of college, they want to be in your role one day. What do you usually say?
It's like what we were talking about earlier. I just think that you need to start posting. I always make this joke with your team and with mine that they should always be posting ABP. I need to get it tattooed. But essentially, I think you should start by converting your personal Instagram into a business profile so you can see what it looks like on the back end. You should start to just post TikToks every time you go to a live event or every time something funny happens, or literally just like getting ready for the day, because doing all of that, it's not in the vein of like trying to be famous or anything, unless that's what you want. It's to understand how like all the editing software works, to understand how the algorithms actually serve content, and all of that is critical, because if you can start to build that portfolio, like that's what I'm going to ask for when I'm hiring someone. Like, can I see your portfolio? And if that happens to be like just you posting on a daily basis, that's completely fine, because now I understand that you understand how all of this works. So that's the best way to start. I think that there's also just a ton of resources out there. That's the best part about the internet. Like, don't ever pay for like a class.
Watch a YouTube.
Just watch a YouTube video.
Yeah. I think I know the answer to this question I'm about to ask, but if you hired at StubHub, would you rather have somebody that knows every single song, every single lyric, knows music culture inside and out, but has never ran social before? Or would you rather have someone that's a practitioner that knows how to edit, knows the data, but necessarily doesn't know the music or
hopefully
live
they're
event?
Both. So like I just hired
If you had to choose one.
I just hired 2 people, and they're both incredibly good at making memes and making content, but one of them's like a sports head and like knows everything about sports, and another one's like incredibly good at culture, just in the weeds of culture. But if I had to choose, I would choose the person who's culturally in tune for sure, or like the person who's in the weeds of it.
Yes.
Because I know being a practitioner is good, but I could probably teach someone that. I could probably, if I had to, teach them how to do it. It would be hard, but like I need someone who has the instinct when they're watching Chaperone to be like, I need to film this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is awesome. Thank you so much. And I think this is like one of the coolest podcasts where we actually like dove deep in like moments and how it came to be, from a Slack to a executive summary and all those different things.
Me in the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly. We got really exactly how the cookie's made or what have you. So I think people get a lot of value out of it and take this back to their brand of how they can, cook like you do. So
cool. I hope so.
We appreciate it. Thanks for coming
chaotic. My apologies.
All good. Caity Bransby, thanks so much.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Thank you, David.
All right.